The southern constellation of Phoenix embodies the ancient myth of an immortal bird burning in purifying cosmic fire. Reborn from the ashes, this celestial silhouette became an eternal symbol of life's triumph over absolute oblivion. Today, an extreme planet is discovered here, whose monstrous gravity literally deforms its own parent star. And in the heart of the constellation hides a giant galaxy cluster where hundreds of new suns are born annually.
Welcome! Today we turn our attention to the southern celestial hemisphere, to a constellation that serves as a profound intersection of mythology and astrophysics, Phoenix. This is not merely an arbitrary collection of stars, it is a celestial object that embodies the very concept of eternal renewal, a theme we will find echoed from ancient legend all the way to the frontiers of modern cosmology. Our examination today will proceed through 5 distinct sections. First, we will establish its position on the celestial sphere. From there, we will delve into its astrophysical portrait, analyzing its constituent stars. Then, we will expand our scale to one of the most massive structures in the known universe, the Phoenix cluster. We'll then trace its mythological and historical origins, and finally, we will synthesize these threads to understand Phoenix as a symbol of eternal renewal.
All right, so before we can analyze it, we must first locate it. Let's begin with the practical matter of observing Phoenix from our vantage point here on Earth.
Now, your ability to see Phoenix is entirely a function of your latitude. For observers south of 32 degrees north, the constellation is fully visible, a prominent feature of the southern sky. Between 32 and 50 degrees north, it becomes a bit more challenging. You'll only be able to see its northernmost stars skirting the horizon. And for anyone north of 50 degrees latitude, unfortunately, the constellation remains entirely below the horizon, hidden by the curvature of the Earth.
The ideal window for observation occurs during October and November. It's during these months that the constellation reaches culmination, its highest point in the sky around midnight. And this is critical for clear viewing because it means its light is traveling through the least amount of Earth's turbulent atmosphere, minimizing distortion.
To locate it, we can use a method known as star hopping. You'll want to find 2 brilliant navigational beacons in that region of the sky, a Kernar in the constellation Eridanus and Fomalhaut in Pisces Austrinus. Phoenix's brightest star, Anka, forms a nearly perfect triangle with these 2 luminaries, so if you can find them, you can find Phoenix.
Now that we've located Phoenix, let's adjust our focus. We're going to move from its position in the sky to its physical nature, to the stars themselves that form this celestial bird, and some of the truly extraordinary systems hidden within its boundaries. Phoenix is a moderately sized constellation, ranking 37th out of the 88 modern constellations. Under ideal, dark sky conditions, an observer with sharp eyesight could resolve approximately 68 individual stars without optical aid. Its principal star is Alpha Phoenicis, formerly named Anka, from the Arabic for the Phoenix. It's an orange giant, about 77 light-years distant. But what's truly fascinating is that Anka is not a single star. It's a spectroscopic binary. This means it has a close stellar companion that we cannot resolve directly with a telescope. So how do we know it's there? We detect its gravitational influence. As the companion orbits, it pulls Anka back and forth, causing a periodic wobble. This wobble creates a tiny Doppler shift in the star's light, a rhythmic compression and stretching of its light waves that we can measure with incredible precision.
And if a binary system is interesting, Zeta Phoenicis is an order of magnitude more complex. This is a quadruple star system. The 2 primary components form what's known as an eclipsing binary. Imagine watching 2 stars orbiting each other edge-on from our perspective. Every 1.7 days, one star passes directly in front of its companion. When this eclipse occurs, their combined light, as seen from Earth, dips in a predictable rhythmic pattern. Studying the timing and depth of this dip, the light curve, allows us to deduce a wealth of information about the stars themselves, their mass, their diameter, even their temperature.
But the wonders within Phoenix aren't limited to its stars. It also hosts one of the most extreme exoplanets ever cataloged. I'm talking about WASP-18b, a world that exists on the very edge of planetary possibility.
To start, this object is a behemoth. It has 10 times the mass of Jupiter, placing it in that fascinating category of objects that blur the line between a giant planet and a brown dwarf, or a failed star.
And its sheer mass is coupled with an absolutely astonishing orbital period. It completes 1 full revolution around its star in just 23 hours. A year on this world is shorter than a day on Earth. It orbits so closely that its immense gravity is raising powerful tides on its parent star, physically distorting the star into an oblong football-like shape.
Now, I want you to completely readjust your sense of scale. We're going to zoom out, past the individual stars, past our own galaxy, to a structure that is almost incomprehensibly vast. We're looking at the Phoenix cluster.
The central galaxy in this cluster is experiencing a period of furious activity. It is undergoing a starburst of immense proportions, forming roughly 740 new stars every single year. For comparison, our own Milky Way galaxy averages maybe 2 new stars per year. What we're witnessing here is a cosmic forge operating on an almost unimaginable scale.
And what is the engine driving this incredible star factory? At its heart lies a supermassive black hole with a mass of 20 billion, that's billion with a B, suns. As interstellar gas is drawn toward this gravitational behemoth, it doesn't fall straight in. It forms a superheated accretion disk that blazes with energy. This outflow of energy then feeds back into the surrounding gas clouds, compressing them and triggering the collapse that leads to the birth of hundreds of new stars.
So, we have examined the remarkable physics of this constellation. But how did it enter our collective consciousness? Let us now turn from astrophysics to the human dimension, to the history and mythology of Phoenix.
Unlike the classical constellations known since antiquity, Phoenix is a product of the Age of Discovery. It was simply too far south for the ancient Greeks or Romans to observe. It was first documented by Dutch navigators in the late 16th century, formally depicted on a celestial globe by Petrus Plancius in 1598, and then immortalized in Johann Bayer's definitive star atlas, the Uranometria, in 1603.
While the constellation's charting is modern, its name taps into a mythos that is ancient. The concept originates with the Egyptian Bennu bird, a deity linked to the sun god Ra and the act of creation. The Bennu symbolize cyclical renewal, mirroring the annual flooding of the Nile, which brought fertile silt and new life to the land. This idea was later adopted and famously elaborated upon by the Greeks, who gave us the legendary Phoenix.
The Greek myth is a powerful narrative of transformation. As the phoenix neared the end of its life, it was said to construct a pyre of aromatic spices. It would then sing a final sublime song to the sun god Helios, whose heat would ignite the nest. The bird was consumed in this purifying fire, only to be reborn from the very same ashes 3 days later, renewed and even more magnificent than before.
And this brings us to our conclusion. We have an ancient myth of rebirth from fire and ash. And we have a modern astronomical observation of a galaxy undergoing a massive burst of star formation. Here is where these two threads of inquiry, the mythological and the astrophysical, converge in a truly remarkable way.
Once burned, it rises from its own ashes, younger and more beautiful than before. This is not just poetry. It is, in fact, an exquisite metaphor for the cosmic cycle of matter. Stars live and die. In their final moments, in the heart of a supernova, they forge heavy elements and then scatter them, their ashes, into the interstellar medium.
And this is the profound connection. The Phoenix cluster is a physical manifestation of the Phoenix myth. From the ashes of previous generations of stars, new suns and new worlds are being born at an incredible rate. The myth, it turns out, was a prescient description of the fundamental nature of our universe, that destruction is not an end, but a necessary precursor to creation. It shows us that, in the grand cosmic scheme, every ending is truly a new beginning. And it forces us to ask, what other cycles, what other renewals await our discovery in the universe?
Thank you, friends. Strive for understanding and become wiser. See you soon.